working dogs have a lot more to offer than we've even found out yet. They can do some amazing things, and you hear of, dogs helping to detect cancer in, minute particles. And I just think we use dogs effectively at the moment as a society, but I think as time goes on we will find out more and more and more of what dogs can do, because we are still kind of in the guessing stages at the moment. We think they do things a certain way because of certain things, but genuinely, if you ask anyone honestly, they don't know why dogs do these things. But I think time will tell and time will prove that they can do a lot more than we give them credit for already.
Dogs, or also known as man's best friend, are commonly known as pets or companions. However, there are also working dogs, who carry out many different roles to help us humans with our everyday lives. We have yet to discover all the capabilities of working dogs, but there are already some amazing ones, including military dogs, sheep herding dogs, police dogs, sniffer dogs, dogs for the disabled, and therapy dogs. I met two different working dogs, one of the most well known, the guide dog, and one that is not so commonly known, lowland search and rescue dogs. Guide dogs have been an incredibly important aid to the blind for as far back as the mid-16th century. I met Jim, who lost his sight when he was just a teenager. Throughout his life he has had 3 guide dogs, Murray, Alfie and his current dog Neil.
Training started on the 1st of December in 2010, and the reason I remember that so vividly was because that Monday morning London was covered in 6 inches of snow. Living in a fairly quiet part of southeast London, and our walks are mainly around this area, he should work through till he's about 10 or 11. If, however, I were working up in town, Oxford Street, and going up to Charing Cross and using the tubes and things, then his working life would only maybe be 3 or 4 years. The reason for that is if you think about being at a dog's head height and trying to guide me through many hundreds of people, jinking left and right and trying to make me avoid all these people, that's extremely hard work for the dog. Immediately he's in his harness, or even when he's on his lead, he will immediately start to try and guide me. He switches from being playful, and in his case play is retrieving a ball. He's an absolute avid retriever, and he will retrieve a ball or a quoit again and again and again. He just won't stop. That's his greatest love in life, and I can do that with him and then immediately hold up his harness. He'll come straight into the harness and then quite happy to go off and work. The ability making my life a great deal easier, both to get to work, and I used to work in a fairly big hospital, and just moving around the inside, going from one department in the hospital to another, just having the dog to take and do that for me made my life a great deal easier. The other element, of course, it's a great way of breaking the ice when you go to places, because if people will invariably focus on the dog, that then becomes a method of introduction, and that's how you meet new people when you go to meetings and things like that.
Lowland search and rescue dogs are a less well-known working dog, however are an incredibly important resource. I met the South East London Search and Rescue team, who gave me an insight into what work these dogs do.
South East London Search and Rescue is a voluntary organisation set up to assist the Metropolitan Police in the search for vulnerable missing people. The police can use us free of charge, and we're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Obviously in the UK you have mountain rescue dogs, and their job is to go out onto the mountains and find people who maybe have fallen over and injured themselves. But our dogs are very different in terms of our dogs work in the areas that aren't covered by mountain rescue teams, and our dogs are generally called in to search for vulnerable missing people. So they're people that we don't know where they are, so we're not just going out to rescue them, we actually have to search for them first. So we search for vulnerable missing people, which can be people with dementia, people who may want to cause harm to themselves, people with mental illness, people with learning difficulties, but anyone that the police consider vulnerable, our teams and our dogs can go out to search for.
The fact that we have lowland search dogs surprises people all the time. But there's a lot of instances where they have saved people's lives in the lowland environments. As luck would have it, someone wanted to donate a dog to search and rescue, and they donated Teddy, which is now my dog, and it actually took him only 5 months to qualify. You'll see Teddy running around like he normally does, quite happy, playful, but as soon as the harness comes out, he changes, and once that harness goes on, he's a completely different dog. And it's quite incredible just to see that switch, and it's the harness that makes the difference between play and work mode.
Our dogs train at least every 2 weeks, but that's official training sessions. They also have their own training sessions, probably at least once a week, if not more, and that will involve quite a few people being able to go out and hide up for the dogs, so it's a bit more people intensive. But we have two different types of search dogs. So we have our air scenting search dogs and our trailing search dogs. So the training styles are different for each of those.
Search and rescue dogs are probably one of the best tools we have in locating missing people.
They do jobs that police dogs can't do, and can search in areas that other dogs can't. And they also allow us as voluntary teams to cover very large areas in a relatively short space of time compared to what we would use foot people to search. Dogs definitely love having a job to do. It keeps them mentally stimulated as well as physically stimulated. And you know, as you've seen from being with us today, to our dogs this is all a big game. It's all just what they need to do to get their food or to get their treat, and to them they love it. It's fantastic.
They wouldn't do it if they didn't enjoy it. You can try and force a dog to do something it doesn't want to, but it won't do it very well. If the dog's doing it to please you, then the dog will work until it drops.
I think all of these dogs should be given, much more recognition for what they do.